So I'm gonna expose myself for being dumb. I've been there, I've done it, I've worn the t-shirt. Let's just put a hat on my head that has got a D and plays clown music. Yeah. Today I'm gonna share with you my worst ever financial mistake. And I know I'm sitting up here talking about, how rich I am. No, I'm not. I don't talk about how rich I am, but I'm a millionaire, I'm successful, I'm saving, I'm budgeting. Don't think it was an easy ride to get here. Don't think I didn't make any mistakes along the way. I definitely did. Today I'm gonna go ahead and share with you my worst financial mistakes so that you do not have to do them as well. Don't do these. Hey guys, my name is Patricia Bright and you are over here on The Break, where we are giving you the tools and resources to learn, grow, navigate life like a boss and make money moves in the process. I hope you are doing well. So as I said, I'm going to share my financial mistakes, and if I tally them up, I know they go into the hundreds of thousands. Like, oh, it hurts when it hurts so bad. When it hurts so bad, it hurts so bad. When I think of all the money that has been poured into things that I'm never going to get back, it pains my soul. But we all have to learn from our mistakes once, twice, 18 times, really? But yeah, that is just real life. One of my big financial mistakes, and this is a new money mistake. I had got some cash, I got some money, and I decided to buy myself a Mercedes Benz. It's a thing that people do. They get a little bit of a cash and they hit that Mercedes vibe. I mentioned this in a video on my main channel once before, but if you guys don't know, I bought a Mercedes E-Class. It was a drop top. Is that what it's called, a drop top? It was a convertible. I wanted the cool breeze and rain and grey skies of London blowing in my scalp, and I put £30,000 down straight on this car. And the reality is that when you put money down on a car, as soon as you leave the parking lot, depreciate like a mofo. That depreciation is real. It's over. I spent £30,000 cash, and I think as soon as I left that car lot, it probably went down by like £4,000 within like an instant, within the blink of an eye. At the time, I had worked hard. I was really excited. I wanted to floss a little bit, and getting my first car, I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? Get a Mercedes. I would never make a decision like that now, especially not buying a car cash. It was dumb. Not gonna get that money back. And in reality, I actually got pregnant. Not a mistake. But, no one needs a convertible two-seater Mercedes with a newborn where you can't put a car seat in the back. A year later, I had to get another car. Within a year, I think I sold that car for 18 or 19,000. So within 1 year, it had dropped by £11,000. So sad. Big financial mistake. I personally decided I will not be paying cash for cars or putting lump sums down for cars. It's really not necessary. They do not keep their value, and especially not new cars. I think if you're someone who's interested in getting a car, you need a car for work, don't overpay for a flashy car. Get yourself a runaround that is gonna last the test of time. You don't need to buy into the labels, just you need a car to get you from A to B that you can afford. And if you wanna splash out, then it might be better to get like another finance option, or get a car that you want to keep for a really long time, because it's literally within a year, it dropped by a third of the value. Ridiculous. Now, this isn't as large as a financial mistake, but still a financial mistake that I know a lot of people make, and it is not paying back my student loan overdraft. This put me in the remit of £3,000 in the red. I know that's not a large amount, but I know that there are so many people who have gone through this experience. You go to university, you're free at last. I lived at home for so long, I was not used to like being alone and being free to myself for a really long time. And so by becoming free, the banks actually like woo students in. They're like, come in, come get a student loan account. And when you got a student account, you get an overdraft. I believe my overdraft limit was £1,500, maybe £2,000, and it's interest free while you are a student. Who didn't max out their student loan overdraft account? I don't know anyone who didn't. We were spending that money like it was free. It was while you were a student. As soon as graduation lit, That student account overdraft is no longer interest free. And if you don't have the £1,500 to deposit right back in there, do you know what you gather? Interest. I remember that during that period of time, I was not keeping an eye on my student account because I think it just became a normal account. I can't entirely remember. What I do know is that I ended up having quite a lot of money left over. My overdraft was maxed out, and I think I maxed it out further than the limit, and then also incurred fees and fines on top of that. It actually cringes me to think about that point in time. And it also scares me to know that there are a lot of students who get the student bank accounts with the overdraft limit that is interest free, and they're giving it to you so that when you come out of being a student, you're lumbered with not only your student loan debt, but your overdraft debt as well. And I ended up having to pay that back. Lucky for me, I got a job and was interning, and I just really wanted to pay that off as quick as I possibly could because the interest that was occurring on there was not great at all. Oh, this one I'm ashamed to talk about. Ashamed. Tax liability. I've said this, I'm sure I've told you this, like my financial horror stories, but I can tell you now that I've been making money, I've been doing side hustles for a while. I was, doing a little bit of work here and there for the tax man to not know that I was around. I was doing it. So eventually, as I made more and more money, I was just enjoying the fruits of my labor and not paying any tax. I didn't know, and this is why I'm doing this, this is why I do this channel. I didn't recognize that I needed to pay tax. Accounting and finance student, worked in banking, didn't realize that all that extra money she was making needed to go into tax. Yeah. They don't teach this in schools. No, they don't. Yeah, so I ended up not paying my tax for the first year or two after I had incorporated my company, or I'd been making money on the side and I was still working a job. So I wasn't really keeping track of all the payments I was receiving. I was receiving a lot of money, I was growing, but I was always working, and I was just not really on my finances. And of course I was spending wild, I was like, woo, this is great, money. No. Remember that at least 20 to 30% of that needs to be set aside for the tax man. I did not do that, and therefore I ended up incurring fees. These fees, I'm gonna lump this with also VAT liability. I also did not pay my VAT. This is another form of taxation that we have in the UK. I did not pay this. And so when I got an accountant, they were telling me like, oh, by the way, you reached the threshold to hit, paying VAT and paying this tax amount. I hadn't been paying it. I think I owed about £25,000 or something ridiculous over a certain number of years. And then the fines that I had to pay were in the region of £17,000. Now, at the time, I did not have £17,000 to give, as well as to pay the tax on top. So how we gonna do this? It was a big risk and a big issue that I ended up having to face. Funny enough, I actually wrote to HMRC, that is the tax gods, and I played the Little Bo Peep mode. I was like, guys, I didn't know. I was working, I'm young, never ran a business before. I didn't realize I was liable. I'm happy to pay off my tax and VAT balance and liabilities, but I'm really not able to pay the fines. Is there anything we can do about it? And luckily enough, they actually, I think they either halved the debt or something, or removed the debt entirely. Can't remember, but I still had to pay the liability. But yeah, not being up to date with my taxes, not only did it cost me the amount of the tax, but the £17,000 that I was due to be fined. So this is actually a business cost that incurred. It's a business cost that I'm still working on, I'm still getting through right about now, but the mistake I made was paying too much for stock. If anybody is out there and is thinking about starting a business or has a business, what you really want to do is minimize your stock levels. If you buy an excessive amount of stock, we're talking about, thousands of units that you have to shift, right? But if you spend this amount of money all up front without testing the market, without knowing exactly what your customers want, you could end up losing a lot. I've run 2 online businesses in the past, one that I'm currently running as well. And I remember putting down about £9,000 for stock. The issue is I got stock from a bad supplier who, once I gave them my money, disappeared into the thin air. Not only did I have a lot of stock, I also had a lot of stock that wasn't amazing that I also could not shift. I had to just absorb and swallow that cost. Not pretty, but also one of the risks when it comes to business. So I would advise anyone who is like looking at starting a business or doing a product business, please ensure that you do not have too much stock. Please ensure that wherever you're buying the stock from, it's safe and secure. Another business cost here. I want to sing a song. I want to talk about tears rolling down my face. This was the most painful financial mistake and financial issue that I ever went through. This one shook me to the core of my being. And this was when I was working as an influencer, and I had worked with a company who only paid people like myself in a 3-month period of time. I had been really lucky and I had booked back-to-back work for big brands. And do you know what? I'm just gonna say it. Johnson & Johnson, P&G, Nivea was the brand specifically, and also River Island. I was actually due based on all the projects that I'd done all the work up front, and I was ready to be paid. It was to the tune of about £60,000. And I can't believe I just called them out, but you know, tag them, maybe they'll give me the money back. No, they won't. This is like 4 years ago, and I begged and cried and nobody responded. It's gone. I did all the work. I invoiced the company that I was working through. The company was called Mode Media. That company no longer exists at this point in time. So I worked for this company. 2 days before all of those invoices were meant to clear, the company went bankrupt. That £60,000, that work that I had done over a certain amount of time, all of that was wiped into the dust. Who could I call? No one. Who was going to help me? No one. I lost £60,000 due to 1, bad contracts, 2, awful payment terms. Now, the biggest lesson that I've learned is to take 50% upfront as much as I possibly can. I would never wait for 3 months to receive a payment unless it's from like Estee Lauder or like a big ass company that isn't just gonna disappear into the thin air. This is something that actually does quite happen. It's notorious where there are companies who do not pay suppliers. What ends up happening actually is people like me who are lower down in the food chain do not get paid what they are due. And I ended up losing £60,000, never got it back, never saw a dime. I don't even know if their staff got paid, but you know, I'm still staff. I already did the project and I'm self-employed, and I had that money, you know, allocated for certain things, and I knew that it was coming and it just disappeared off. The funny thing is, I know I wasn't the only one. There were a lot of people who were left with unpaid invoices, but definitely not to the amount that I dealt with. Okay, so these are not a specific value, but I'm just gonna say in the region of £9,000 to £10,000. And this has been me as like a fashion girl buying into fashion trends. I already did a video, I think, about that. There's enough where I've talked about all the things that I bought and I'm like, why did I buy that? From designer bags that were really hot for a season that aren't hot anymore, from designer shoes that were really trendy for a season and then weren't anymore. I had bought into trends a lot of times. I don't know what it is. I like shiny things. And I'll tell you guys, I am a consumerist. I love things. I like things. They make me happy, okay? I'm not in denial that I like cute shoes and clothes, but I have made a lot of financial mistakes by buying into these trends that are popular for 1 minute and then are not again. I've highly moved away from doing that, and I only buy things that I truly, genuinely love that aren't just because it's trendy and I can see myself wearing it year after year after year and potentially passing it on to a daughter or a friend and making sure that it's well loved. Okay, I don't want to give this exact figure here because the person is going to probably know. But the financial mistake, and one of the biggest financial mistakes that I have made, is by doing financial transactions through friends. Whenever someone says to me, I've got an offer, I can give you something special, or I'll get you a special discount, most of the time it's not as good as they're making it out. And I know this sounds really, really bad. Sometimes friends or people that you know might be able to tell you they can negotiate a really good deal, and it's not necessarily true. I recognize that I probably spent about $6,000 over market price for buying something via somebody that I knew who could get me a a good deal. What I didn't recognize is that good deal wasn't a good deal. That's one of the biggest financial mistakes that I've made, and I've made it more than once. You know, listening to a friend or someone who say, I'm gonna get you something. Like, no, it's okay. I am much happier to pay market price via reputable websites and people that I don't know versus special offers from people that I do know. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to any of my friends watching, but you know, just give me the price straight up, straight down. I've actually learned nowadays that before I ever commit to anything, I need the price in writing beforehand, so I know what I'm getting myself in for, and so I don't get any more surprises. I would suggest anyone who's smart is to do that. The worst thing you want to do is have financial issues between people that are your friends or people that you know. Okay guys, that is it. Those are the mistakes that I have made. They've been painful, they hurt, but you know, I've learned. And as they say, more money, more problems. Like, oh my gosh, some of those mistakes that I've made are bloody expensive. But I'm telling you that every mistake I make is, you know, costs me, and I don't want to make those mistakes. So I'm hoping that by watching this video, I've just saved you like a couple of quid in that you shouldn't make the mistakes that I have made. Please, please don't. I've lost enough so we can all win together. So I'm hoping this video should be helpful, that if you're about to spend some money and you think you might be about to spend some money unwisely, you'll see my face saying, just don't do it, girl. Don't do it. Don't do it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you later. Bye.